Guys, I thought I'd take a few minutes on this 90-degree August day to dig out some of my mountain bikes and show you my retro mountain bike collection. Over the years I've had a lot of hobbies, with cars being one of them, but I found bikes, and especially mountain bikes, to be one of the more enjoyable ones. The repair bills are cheap, much cheaper, there are no insurance payments, and it's just a lot of fun, pretty cheap to get into. So let's go right into it. Over the years I've had over 30 bikes. Some have left and some have popped up, but this is what I have right now. They're pretty much stacked in chronological order, and some of these are pretty rare, and there's probably a couple you've never even seen before. We'll start off here. This one's more personal nostalgia than anything. This is one of my first bikes. It's a Rally-made Millennium M6000. This one made by Rally Canada. It's an extra large frame, and it's all Shimano equipped. It's got the SIS shifters. I got this when I was a kid. I think it was '95. The Shimano V brakes, the index shifters. Nothing crazy high end, but for the time, it was pretty cool to have index shifters and a fork. That's kind of a no-name fork, but that fork came at a time where mountain bikes still didn't come with shock forks, basically, or most of them didn't, unless you went really high end. So I got a lot of good memories on that. It's a chromoly frame, really tough. Moving from there, this is a Black Mountain Tangerine Dream. As you can see, it's Dior LX equipped. Really cool pearl metallic orange. Not much is known about these. From what I gather, they were a UK-based company. They only made a handful of bikes, and I've heard stories just from the fellow I bought it off of that it was basically one guy making bikes out of a shop and selling them bike by bike. It's all original. I've seen only a picture of one other in original condition, so I can tell that this thing is 100% as it came from the factory, including the San Marco Italian saddle. Very cool. I just love the name. One of a kind. This one here is a Gary Fisher Piranha. Not quite sure of the year, just like the Tangerine Dream, but I put them both at about 1998. I want to say this one's a Canadian market Gary Fisher because the paint scheme is like no other Gary Fisher I've seen. It's not even listed in the catalog. This one's got a RockShox Judy T2 fork and just SIS shifters. Then moving from there, we got a 99 Gary Fisher Pro Caliber. This is a custom frame that I painted a few years ago when I got it. I've had this for quite some time. The frame was pretty beat up by the end of it. You know, the stickers and the paint were all toast, so I redid it in Challenger NB Green. Very nice. That's a Manitou Expert fork. It's got carbon fiber bars. XTR drivetrain. Really enjoy that bike. It's become kind of a urban cruiser for me. So moving from there, got a 2001 Trek 9.9 Pro. This is the Team Edition, the Volkswagen Team Edition, and it's pretty much all stock. It's got the RockShox Sid Race, that's a World Cup fork, and the full XTR group set. XTR everything. Really nice bike. That one's made of carbon fiber. It was quite the bike back in its day. So moving on from that rare one, those were all the hardtails. Getting into the dual suspensions, this is a 97 Gary Fisher Joshua X0. There was a few Joshuas with basically different models, different characteristics. They all had the same frame geometry. Some of them had different group sets, different components. This one being the X0. I believe it's all Dior LX. This one was part of the Y bikes, as they called them. That was a big fad in the late 90s and early 2000s. Trek had a variation of this themselves. This one's mostly stock. It's got a RockShox Deluxe in the back. the front fork is an RST Mozo Pro, which was pretty decent. That was back when RST, this bike being a 97, RST was building some quality forks. Then they kind of went lower end for a while. I think this would be the equivalent of maybe an Indy or a lower level Judy. So that's basically it. They still handle nice to this day. Really cool bike. So moving from that one, we got this one. This is a Klein Mantra. Really odd bike. This is a 98. It's got the Manitou Spider. That might be even a Spider, I'm not sure. And component-wise, I think it's got XT derailleurs and Avid brakes. Really unusual bike. This was kind of when they were all the different companies were trying to figure out their own version of what a dual suspension bike ought to be. Fox vanilla in the back. And then from there, we move into this one. Pretty rare sight. A Cannondale Super V 9000 SL. Or sorry, 900 SL. So the Super V 900, there was a few different Super Vs, I think from the 400 or 500 all the way up to the 2000. This one was Dior XT. Had the fatty head shock and a Fox vanilla in the back. Really odd design, but it was cool for its time. It was a smooth handling bike, rode smooth, not very responsive, but for its time it wasn't too bad. Out of those three, I'd put the Gary Fisher as the best handler. And then we come to 2001. This is a Kona Stinky Deluxe. Now this bike almost predates dedicated downhill bikes. Downhill bikes were just becoming a thing, so to a lot of guys this was considered a downhill bike, but Kona sold it as an out of bounds bike. This one's got some work done to it. It's got Shimano XT hydraulic disc brakes, but other than that, it's pretty stock. It's got a Marzocchi Z3 bomber and a Fox Vanilla R in the back with Dior LX derailleurs. Other than the smaller double wide 24-inch wheels with these 3-inch tires, the rest of it's original. But yeah, this is it. Retro mountain bike collection. A little bit of everything. Some things you don't see that often. Some things you never see. And some things you've probably never heard of. Hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.